Good evening again. Some people have asked that after explaining that Pope Francis is going to be doing the Urbi et Orbi blessing at 7 o'clock tomorrow evening, that's Friday the 27th of March, that I explain what a plenary indulgence is. To understand a plenary indulgence, we have to understand the effect of sin. Sin has two effects. The first effect is the culpability of the sin, that we are guilty of the sin. The second part of sin is the effect of the sin. The culpability of the sin means that because we have done it, remember that sin is a free human act, and so we intentionally choose to do the evil. That is why it is sin. And so when we have sinned, we have turned away from God, we choose to do the act. And so there's a culpability. By going to confession, sacramental confession, we remove the culpability, and by the salvific action of Jesus, our culpability is removed and we are no longer guilty of that sin. So the culpable part of it is removed. However, there is still an effect. As you know, everything you do has an effect. So for argument's sake, if you gossip about somebody, you recognize the wrongfulness of your actions, and you go to that person and you say to them, I'm sorry that I have gossiped about you, and they forgive you. They remove the culpability for you. But the effect of your gossip, the fact that you have damaged their name, that you've hurt their feelings, that is still out there, and its effect runs a bit like a wildfire. And so the second element of sin, the effect of sin, the culpability we remove by confession. The effect of sin, however, remains tainted on our soul. When we get a plenary indulgence, you get a plenary or a partial indulgence. A plenary indulgence removes all of that effect of sin on our soul. They've got very stringent requirements. All plenary indulgences, there's normally linked to a feast or an action or an act of faith on part of the person receiving the plenary indulgence. You must have the will, the want, the need to have the plenary indulgence. But then you also have to fulfill three requirements. You have to pray for the intentions of the Holy Father, you have to receive sacramental confession, and you have to receive Holy Communion in that day. And so you can see that the rules for a plenary indulgence or a partial indulgence are quite strict. They're given only under special circumstances and only by the Holy Father through the dicastery known as the Penitentiary Apostolic. And so what happens is that you make application in times of difficulty or great joy when you ask for plenary indulgences to be granted for those who participate in a Mass or participate in some pious act. The Apostolic Penitentiary have given this plenary indulgence through the actions of the Holy Father at the Holy Father's request for all those people who want it. That's the only requirement in the Urbi et Orbi, that you want it. And then on top of that, they have removed they've relaxed two of the requirements. The requirement that we have sacramental confession and that we have communion in one day. They've relaxed that because of the isolation, because of the lockdown in so many countries of Europe and now of the rest of the world. And so these lockdown situations of the COVID-19 have encouraged the Holy Father to grant this special indulgence for the removal of the effects of our sin on our soul, so that when you receive the plenary indulgence, all the effect is wiped clear. Should you die immediately, that would mean there was no purgatory, because purgatory is the purification of that effect on our soul, so that we may stand in the presence of God for eternity. And so by receiving a plenary indulgence, we actually remove the need for purgatory. Plenary indulgences have had a rough history in the past. When they were sold, that was a complete misunderstanding of what a plenary indulgence is. And so it is important that we understand the right use of these indulgences, that we apply them correctly, and that we have the right disposition. And so if you want to receive the plenary indulgence at the Urbi et Orbi tomorrow evening, it's the wish to receive it, the wish to go to confession and to receive communion, but you're unable to because of the lockdown. and then pray for the intentions of the Holy Father. I hope this explains to some of you the distinction or the understanding of a plenary indulgence and the distinction between culpability and the effects of sin in our lives. I continue to wish you well in the lockdown as we start and begin our time of isolation. But remember that this isolation must be one only of physical. There is no reason that we should have a spiritual isolation. And as you will see, the PPC will also be inviting anybody who would like to join in the rosary at 6 o'clock in the evening to join us in a Zoom rosary. Those details will be explained to you. We tried this evening with the PPC and think it worked very well. So anybody who has the capability and the wish is welcome to join us for a Zoom rosary as well. It's good to be able to have these chats. I hope that they are helping build up your spirits and helping you to just be connected to this parish. Know that we are a family and that we want to stay connected. I wish you well, I wish you peace, and I wish that you be safe. God bless.